Hello, my name is Nicholas Sampson, and I'm the Community Risk Reduction Coordinator for the City of Sharon, Pennsylvania, as well as a firefighter for the Sharon Fire Department. The Sharon Fire Department is a career fire department, which means that there are firefighters here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That means on Christmas morning, when you and your family are at home opening up presents, there are firefighters away from their families, ready to come to an emergency in the event that you have one. Now, to get a hold of one of these firefighters, or an EMT, or a police officer, there's a number that you can call. That number is 911, and it could be your responsibility to have to call that number if there's an emergency at your house. When you call 911, your phone goes to a dispatch center. From there, that dispatch center contacts the fire department, or an ambulance, or a police officer in the event of an emergency. This is the Sharon Fire Department's engine 83-1. This is where the driver of the fire engine sits. It's the driver's job to get the firefighters to and from the fire safely. It's also their job to control the pump panel, which means they're the ones responsible for getting the water from the fire hydrant into the fire truck and out through the hoses to put the fire out. This is where the firefighters sit on their way to the fire. When you look inside this compartment, you'll see that the seats have air packs built into them. This allows the firefighters to put the air pack on while they're going to the fire. This is called the pump panel of the fire engine. After the driver arrives at the fire, he gets out of the driver's seat and stands at this panel. It's his job to watch all of the gauges and to know exactly how much water is going into which hose. This is also where water from the fire hydrant goes into the fire truck. This is the hose we use to attach to the fire hydrant. This compartment is called the engineer's compartment. In the engineer's compartment, you will see a variety of nozzles and appliances and tools that firefighters can use to put fires out. In this next compartment, one of the things that you'll see is called a vent saw. The vent saw is a special type of chainsaw that we can use to cut a hole in a roof to let smoke out. Below the vent saw, you'll see a high-rise pack. A high-rise pack is a special bundle of hose that we use to take up to the high floors of buildings. In this next compartment, you'll see another variety of tools. We have a generator that we can use to power equipment. You'll see a yellow bag filled with drills and saws that we can use to help people who might be trapped. There's a floodlight for fires that happen at night. And underneath those tools is a tray filled with axes and pry bars. The back of the fire truck has several additional compartments, each of which contain a variety of tools. In this compartment, you'll see what we call the Jaws of Life. This is a tool that we can use to help people get out of vehicles that they might be trapped in. Above the Jaws of Life, you'll see what we call a portable monitor, which is basically just an enormous water cannon. Above this compartment, you'll see a compartment where we store ladders, and above that, you'll see what we call the hose bed. In the hose bed, you'll see many varieties of hoses. Some are big, some are small. The biggest hoses are used to move water from the fire hydrant into the fire truck. The smaller hoses are used to deliver water to the fire. In this next compartment, you'll see two large fans. Above the fans and the fire extinguishers, you'll see a large orange bag. Contained within this orange bag is a special piece of equipment called a RIT pack. We can use this RIT pack to assist a firefighter who might be trapped inside a burning building. This next compartment is where we keep our air packs. Besides the 3 air packs, you'll see a spare bottle of air. In this next compartment, in addition to 2 more air packs, you'll see a couple buckets of kitty litter. These buckets are filled with a substance that's like kitty litter, but it's actually used for picking up oil and other chemicals that might be spilled on a roadway following a car accident. In a team of firefighters, there's one person who is called the officer. The officer is responsible for the entire team. This is where the officer sits in a fire truck. On the way to the fire, the officer talks on the radio and comes up with a plan for what to do when the firefighters arrive on the scene. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is what to do if your clothes catch on fire. I'm sure you've heard the expression stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll is exactly what we want you to do in the event that your clothes catch on fire. This could happen at any time. Maybe you're at your birthday party and you lean too close to your birthday cake and your shirt catches on fire. Maybe you're camping and an ember from the fire lands on your jacket and catches your jacket on fire. If this is the case, we want you to stop what you're doing. We do not want you to panic or run around because that might make the fire worse. What we want you to do is stop where you are, drop down to the ground, cover your face, and we want you to roll around the ground like a hot dog going back and forth. Perhaps if there's an adult nearby, they could grab a blanket or help smother the flames by patting you down. If your house is on fire, we would not want you to stop, drop, and roll. That would be the wrong thing to do. We have another saying for when your house is on fire. When your house is on fire, we want you to get out and stay out. If it's the middle of the day, your mom or your dad in the kitchen might yell out to the living room, "The house is on fire, everyone get out of the house." But what are you going to do if the house catches on fire while everyone is sleeping? We're going to need something in our house that will alert us that there's a fire. The thing that we need in our house is a smoke detector. A smoke detector is something that we want every single person in the city of Sharon to have. A smoke detector is the only thing that's going to wake you up in the middle of the night if there's a fire. When you hear a smoke detector go off, we want you to wake up. We want you to crawl out of your bed and go to your bedroom door. Your bedroom door should be closed. When you get to your door, we want you to feel the door with the back of your hand. When you feel the door, you're feeling for heat. If the door is hot, we know that there's a fire on the other side of the door, and you should leave the door closed. The door will do a good job of keeping that smoke and fire away from you. If the door is closed, we want you to go to the bedroom window. We want you to open up the bedroom window, and we want you to do whatever you can do to get someone's attention to let them know that you're trapped in your bedroom. Once you get your bedroom window open, we do not want you to jump out your bedroom window. Remember, the firefighters are at the fire station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They will be there in just a few moments, and they will rescue you from your window. If you are at your door and the door is cool to the touch or not hot, we want you to slowly open your door and peek outside. When you peek outside, if you do not see fire or smoke, we want you to open the door the rest of the way, and we want you to crawl as fast as you can and get out of your house. We call this get low and go. When you get out of the house, we want you to go directly to your meeting place. A meeting place is something we want every family in the city of Sharon to have. Your meeting place is something that you decide ahead of the emergency, and it could be anything like a driveway or maybe your neighbor's porch. The important thing is that everyone in your family knows to go to the meeting place in the event of an emergency. When the firefighters come, we will see your family at the meeting place. The firefighters are going to ask your family an important question. They're going to say, "Is everyone out of the house?" When your mom or dad answers, "Yes, everyone's out of the house," the firefighters can go and do their job and put out the fire. If your mom or dad says, "No, someone's not out of the house," maybe you tried your door and it was hot, so you had to leave it closed, the firefighters will have to go inside the house to rescue you. When the firefighters go into the house to rescue you, they will not be dressed the way I'm dressed right now. They have to wear special clothing and equipment to keep them safe in a fire. This is my friend Firefighter Jason. Firefighter Jason is going to show us exactly how we're going to be dressed when we go into a house that's on fire. The first thing he's going to do is put on his boots and his pants. His boots are very tall to keep the water out, and they're made with steel on the bottom and on the toes to keep his feet from getting injured if he were to step on something sharp or if something heavy were to land on his foot. The coat and the pants are made of 3 different layers. The innermost layer is the thermal liner, and it is what keeps us from getting burned by the heat of the fire. The middle layer is called the moisture barrier, and it is what keeps us from getting wet by our hose lines and by steam from the fire. The outermost layer is called the outer shell, and it is what protects us from getting cut or injured by sharp things like broken glass or sharp pieces of wood. Now that his pants are on, you'll see that he has a pair of suspenders. The suspenders are one of the most important parts of the firefighter's gear because they keep his pants from falling down when his pants get wet. Now that his pants and suspenders are on, he's going to put on a hood. The hood is what keeps our neck and our ears from getting burned by the fire. The next thing he's going to put on is his coat. His coat is comprised of the same 3 layers as his pants: a thermal liner, a moisture barrier, and an outer shell. After he puts on his coat, he'll put on what we call an air pack. An air pack is just like a book bag that you might take back and forth from school, but instead of carrying books and homework in it, we keep air. This is not pure oxygen like some of your relatives might have at home. Rather, this is air, just like the air that we're breathing right now. This air is squeezed into this bottle, and we can use it to breathe even in a smoky environment. Now that he's put his air pack on, you'll see that he's going to put on a mask. A mask serves two functions. Number one, it keeps his face safe from the fire and from heat, but it also provides a way to get the air from his bottle into his lungs. The mask is what changes his appearance the most. He goes from looking like friendly firefighter Jason to something a little less friendly. Now that firefighter Jason has his mask on, he's going to click what we call his regulator into his mask. This will allow the air to go from his bottle into his lungs. When he clicks his regulator into his mask, you will hear a very distinct sound. This is the sound of firefighter Jason breathing. When you hear this sound, it might sound a little spooky. It might even sound a little bit like Darth Vader.
No, I am your father.
But it's important to remember that this is just the sound that a firefighter makes when he's breathing air from his bottle. Now that Jason has his mask on, he's going to put on his helmet. His helmet keeps his head safe from falling debris in a fire. Next, he will be putting on his gloves. His gloves are made of thick leather, enabling him to pick up hot pieces of wood, even if they're still on fire. Now that firefighter Jason is dressed, when he comes into your house, he's going to be doing exactly what we told you to do. He's going to be crawling around your house looking for you. He's going to be calling out things like, "Fire department, is there anybody in here?" And he's going to be searching your house. When firefighter Jason is in your house looking for you, it's important to do everything you can to get his attention so that he can find you and rescue you. One thing that you would never ever want to do is hide in a closet or under a bed. Even though the fire is scary, it's important to remember that hiding in either of these places will not help you. In fact, it will only make it more difficult for firefighter Jason to find you. The best way to stay safe from a fire is to never have a fire at all, which is why I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about fire prevention. The best way to prevent a fire is to never play with things like matches, lighters, or candles. We always want you to practice good kitchen safety. Unattended cooking is one of the leading causes of residential fires. If you're cooking on the stove, make sure to never leave the room and always pay attention to what you're doing. Another important thing to remember is to never play with gasoline or oil or other things like that you might find in your garage or shed. These things are used for lawnmowers and tractors only, and not to be used for things like lighting barbecue grills or campfires. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is fireworks safety. If you come across fireworks, it's important to remember to never play with them unless you have a responsible adult with you. It can be tempting to want to play with fireworks, but it's important to remember that fireworks used improperly can seriously injure you. If you are with one of your friends and they suggest playing with something dangerous, such as gasoline or fireworks, the best choice you can make is to go get a responsible adult as soon as possible. This is not tattling on your friends. This is not being a bad friend. Rather, this is being a good friend, because you could be potentially saving your friend's life or save them from getting very seriously injured.
Rising to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the fans just screaming around me. I told him.